The Tampa Bay Buccaneers hold a record that will never be broken. Not for excellence. For losing 26 consecutive games from the moment they kicked off in 1976. No modern expansion team will ever match it because the league learned from this disaster and changed the rules to prevent it from happening again. The Buccaneers were supposed to prove that the NFL could expand into the Sun Belt and print money. Instead, they nearly killed the expansion experiment before it started. In 1974, the NFL awarded franchises to Tampa and Seattle simultaneously. The league was chasing television markets, not football tradition. Tampa had never fielded a professional football team, had no existing stadium worthy of the NFL, and sat in a region that barely cared about the sport. But it had Tom McCloskey. McCloskey was a Philadelphia construction magnate who saw Tampa as the next great American boomtown. He applied for the franchise, pledged to build a stadium, and assumed the NFL would gift him a competitive roster through the expansion draft. The league did not. The 1976 expansion draft rules allowed existing teams to protect all but 3 players. Tampa and Seattle were left to choose from backup quarterbacks who couldn't throw, aging linebackers who couldn't run, and offensive linemen that other teams were actively trying to cut. The Buccaneers hired John McKay as head coach. McKay had won 4 national championships at USC and was considered one of the greatest college coaches alive. He took one look at the roster Tampa had assembled and told reporters, quote, "We can't run, we can't pass, we can't stop the run, we can't stop the pass. Other than that, we're in great shape." He was not exaggerating. The Buccaneers opened their first season on September 12, 1976, against the Houston Oilers. They lost 20-0. The following week, they lost 23-0. Then they lost 42-17. Then 48-13. By midseason, they had been outscored 229-48. Tampa's defense allowed more points per game than any team in modern NFL history. The offense managed just 1 touchdown every 2 games. McKay's wit became the team's only saving grace. After one particularly brutal loss, a reporter asked if he was worried about his team's execution. McKay replied, "I'm in favor of it." The losses mounted. Tampa finished the 1976 season 0-14, the first team in modern NFL history to lose every game. But the humiliation was just beginning. The 1977 season opened with a loss to Philadelphia, then Minnesota, then Chicago. The Buccaneers were now 0-17 across 2 seasons. Attendance at Tampa Stadium began to collapse. The local press started calling for McKay's resignation. McCloskey, the owner, had stopped attending games altogether. By the time Tampa faced the New Orleans Saints in Week 12, they were 0-26. The Saints were also winless that season, 0-11. The game was billed as the Loser Bowl. On December 11, 1977, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers finally won a football game. Final score, 33-14. The crowd, what was left of it, tore down the goalposts. McKay was carried off the field on the shoulders of players who had endured a year and a half of public humiliation. The victory didn't save the season, but it saved the franchise. The following year, the NFL overhauled its expansion draft rules. New teams would now be granted better draft positions, more protected picks, and access to younger talent in the expansion pool. The league had learned that gifting a city an NFL franchise meant nothing if that franchise was unwatchable. Tampa's rebuild came fast. The Buccaneers drafted Doug Williams in 1978, Ricky Bell in 1977, and Leroy Selman, the franchise's first ever draft pick, became the cornerstone of a defense that would transform into one of the league's most feared units by decade's end. By 1979, just 3 years after going winless, Tampa reached the NFC Championship game. They lost to the Los Angeles Rams, but the turnaround was complete. The team that couldn't win a single game had become a legitimate contender in less time than it takes most franchises to find an identity. The record still stands. 26 consecutive losses, from opening kickoff through nearly 2 full seasons. No expansion team will ever match it, because the league made sure they wouldn't have to. The Buccaneers didn't just survive their founding disaster. They proved that even the worst start in professional sports history could be overcome with the right foundation. Next time, we head north to examine how a struggling baseball team became the foundation for one of hockey's most storied franchises.